This video is sponsored by Marvel Strike Force. Marvel Strike Force is a mobile squad RPG game that allows you to battle with your favorite team of superheroes and supervillains in a fight to save the universe against threats like Doctor Doom and Apocalypse. Your goal is to power up your favorite characters, complete missions, unlock gear, and other resources, and beat other players in PvP modes such as Alliance War and Real-Time Arena. You'll recruit both heroes and villains from across the multiverse, including Iron Man, Wolverine, Venom, and much more. From there, power up your characters to take on game modes like campaigns, arenas, and blitz. If you're a new player, you can unlock up to 17 total characters within the first 30 days, including Spider-Man, Deadpool, Thor, Captain America, and many more favorites. Do you know who Ultimus is? Well, if you don't, he is a villain that is even more powerful than Thanos. If you're curious to figure out what his story is, all you have to do is play Marvel Strike Force. If you are interested, all you have to do is click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Hey guys, Larry here. From today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I believe Genesis 10, King Kong, Circ 3, Collision 2024, Battle BC 6, and Diamond Dust has proven to us about Smash Ultimate so far. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to drop a like on the video. It takes a second and makes a massive difference in how this video performs in the YouTube algorithm. With that out of the way, let's get started talking about Genesis 10. Genesis 10 was one of the main starting points this year of showing that Corrin is a stronger character than most people initially thought and is very relevant in the meta. We've had Neo and Shattuck performing incredibly well with solo Corrin, along with Spargo using the character as one of his secondaries, and at Genesis 10, all three of them made top 8. The buffs that Corrin received throughout Ultimate's life seem to have benefited the character immensely. All it took was for top players to use the character and fully utilize the tools at their disposal. The big question regarding Corrin is no longer if the character is good or capable of winning major events, but how high on the tier list are they really? Right now we're in a position where players are going to start getting more used to fighting Corrin at a high to top level. So we'll have to see if the adjustments players make will cause the character's results to waver. On the other hand, this could only be the tip of the iceberg, and we get even more Corrin representation in the future. Zachary was within arm's length of top 8ing Genesis with all pits. He ended up getting 13th, losing to Sonics and Neo, both sets going to Game 5. I think if Zachary beat Neo in losers, there was a very good chance he would have top 8'd the event, since the opponent he would have had to face after that is Ken, which is someone he's played numerous times and has a huge positive record against. Something else to note about this tournament series is that Genesis 6 was the first major event outside of Japan that Zachary had ever gone to, and he managed to top 8 there. This was the second Genesis he has ever been to, so it would have been a nice story to see him top 8 the event yet again, but he had an amazing run regardless. He beat MVD, DeBuzz, Mia at this event, again going all pit. Really hoping to see more of Zachary's pit perform outside of Japan. Zomba throughout Genesis looked incredibly confident, and during top 8 he talked a big game.
It's just business as usual. As the best player in this venue, it's really not anything bad when I'm just beating everybody back to back to back to back. All it really is consistent practice. Look, you know, I don't really practice like that. I'm just better.
But he showed that he has the skills to back it up by winning his first Genesis. I know a lot of people after the event want to label Zomba as the villain of Ultimate, and he was definitely playing up that role. I want to say congrats to him for winning his second Super Major in Ultimate and also just being an entertaining personality. Traveling to Japan and grinding out there definitely paid off immensely for him. I'm pretty sure he also said he highly recommends players outside of Japan go there to practice because of how consistently high the level of competition is out there. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more top players in North America and Europe travel there to practice. Last thing I'll bring up regarding Genesis is Light beating Meister. If you didn't know, I coached him in preparation for the set. He even shouted me out for the coaching. And so far, he is undefeated against Game & Watch. He even got his first set win on Mia, with me coaching him even further. If you want a coaching session with me, you can book me through Metafy. I'll have the link in the description. But yeah, enough shilling, let's get back to talking about events. Alright, I'm gonna put the focus on King Kong, and the first thing I want to talk about is Kid's run at this event. I'm pretty sure this is the best performance a solo me brawler has ever had in a Smash tournament as stacked as this. The biggest upset that Kid made was beating Mars. He also beat Modze, Orion, and Big Boss. His run ended at 5th, which is amazing considering how stacked this major was. It probably won't happen, but I just hope this has people see the light of how good of a character me brawler is, and there just is more people using him because this character is absolutely ridiculous. He's just insane. That's all I gotta say. With Reflow's performance at Genesis along with King Kong, he is making a great argument for being potentially the second best player in Europe. He ended his run at the event at 3rd, losing to MKLeo and Spargo. who got first and second respectively, and is by no means a bad loss. He's also the one who ended Kid's winners bracket rampage. If Reflo does become the second best player in Europe, this would further strengthen France's dominance over Europe, considering the top two would be French players. Spargo was incredibly close to being only the third player in Smash Ultimate's history to claim the Triple Crown. If you don't know what that is, it's winning a major tournament in North America, Europe, and Japan. So far, there's only been two players in Smash Ultimate who has been able to achieve this, and that is T and Zachary. Spargo is only missing a European major in order to take that title, but unfortunately for him, King Kong was not that tournament. MKLeo at King Kong proved that no matter what, you can never fully count him out. He did have some close calls later in bracket. The most notable one for me in my opinion was his winner's final set against Reflo that went to Game 5. Game 3 of that set, Reflo had pro controller issues and due to that had to forfeit an entire stock. The set count was at 1-1 and up until that point the match was basically dead even. That game could have been the deciding factor on who took the set. Regardless, MKLeo's play looked very clean, and in his two sets against Spargo, he just looked so comfortable. It just feels like no matter what, if Leo gets into the zone, he can beat anyone regardless of his previous results, and he proved it at this tournament.
Spargo off stage again, and a slight misjudgment from Spargo.
Circ 3, there were two players that really impressed me at this event, Peanut and Shattuck. Peanut went on an incredibly good run this tournament, beating Goblin, Shuton, Mia, and Zamba. He's proven he's easily the best Mega Man in North America and quite possibly the world. His run ended at 4th, with his biggest obstacle that event being DeBuzz, who double eliminated him. Circ 3 is Shattuck's first major tournament win, and further proof that he is a top 10 caliber player and currently one of the most consistent players at a top level in Smash Ultimate. In pools, he had a close call against Neo, who took him to Game 5 and I believe Corn Dittos. After that, Shattuck would only drop one game to make it to Winterside Grand Finals. In his run, he beat Mia 3-1, DeBuzz 3-0, and Mutace 3-0. In Grand Finals, Mute would give Shattuck a lot more trouble taking a set off of him and resetting the bracket in a Game 5 set. But Shattuck would win the second set in yet another Game 5 match. At Collision, we saw the resurgence of Cola. Sometime last year, Cola was in kind of a slump, so he took a break from competing, and since he's been back, has been trying to get into the swing of things again. This tournament, he did more than just that, as he ended his run at 4th, beating Light, taking a set off of MKLeo for the very first time, and also taking a set off of Mutace for the first time with Solo Roy. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come, and we see more top 8 performances from him. At Collision, we also saw how dominant of a player Spargo can be. This event seemed like one of the easiest major wins Spargo has ever gotten. He beat Cosmos, Peanut, Mutace, Shattuck, Onin, and Shattuck again to win the tournament. Not only did he not drop a single set, but no one at the event took him to Game 5. He only dropped 4 games the entire tournament. That is crazy. After watching Battle of BC6, in my opinion, Toragiri has a very good shot of winning a stacked major event outside of Japan. At the moment, it seems like most players outside of Japan have little to no idea how to fight Banjo at a top level. Fighting against Toragiri seems like one of those things that if you play him for the very first time, you're most likely going to lose because he's just going to hard matchup check you. The scary thing is, even if you do know how to fight against Banjo, Toragiri is still an amazing player and capable of beating top players who have matchup experience. This tournament he lost to Hurt and Yoshidora, two Japanese players that probably have some experience playing him, are another top Banjo player, and even then both sets went to Game 5. He also 3-0'd MKLeo, Big D, and beat Base Mage 3-1. Funny enough, Dormigi lost to the same exact people as Toragiri. I also believe this was both players' first time outside of Japan to compete. I'm really interested to see how Dormigi will do at future events outside of Japan if he does travel. Even before Proto-Banan's inactivity, he was considered the best Min Min player, so it would be nice to see how deep of bracket runs he can do outside of Japan.
Can he touch the ground? Please, Dormigi, let him touch the ground for once!
Hurt winning Battle of BC solidifies him as being the best Snake player at the moment and one of Japan's top players. To my knowledge, he hasn't placed lower than 4th place at any tournament he's been to this year, so it would be interesting to see how consistent he can remain throughout the year. At Diamond Dust, we got to see MKLeo's Roy, and honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing it more. His run ended at 7th, losing to Shiny Mark and Rills, which are two players that I would expect him to lose to regardless of who he's using. I don't know how serious Leo is about playing Roy since he's been shuffling through characters quite a bit recently, but I can legitimately see him becoming his best character. I think Roy checks off just about everything Leo likes in a character and suits his playstyle incredibly well. Shiny Mark winning Diamond Dust brings a lot of validation to all the Pikachu believers out there, myself included. This situation feels similar to Meister and Mia with Game & Watch, where there were a lot of people saying how strong the character is, but also a lot of people saying that Meister was the exception because he was the only one performing at a top level until Mia came along. I do think Pikachu requires more precision than most characters in Ultimate, so even still it might be hard to see why he's such a good character outside of her box shifting. Regardless of that, this isn't the first time we've seen Shiny Mark perform incredibly well, and I'm confident it won't be the last. Two more things I want to talk about a little bit more in depth, the first being Shattuck's improvement. He's currently on pace to become the highest ranking player in the US for the next Luma ranking, and the second or third highest ranking player in North America behind Spargo and Sonics. His current lowest placement this year is 9th at Luminosity Makes Big Moves, where he lost to Tweak and Light. Besides that, he has not missed a single top 8 and has beaten numerous top players this year alone, like Light, Mia, Gluttony, and much more. I think he's easily a top 10 player at the moment, and if he stays as consistent as he has, he'll for sure be top 5, maybe even top 3. There are currently two players that have a really good shot of being ranked number 1 that have been pretty inactive so far this year. Akola, the current number 1 ranked player in the world, has only been to 4 events this year so far, with one of them being a P tier and the others being B+ or lower. Despite his inactivity, he has won every event he's gone to so far. Sonics has only been in 2 events this year, with one of them being an S+ tier and the other being a P tier. He placed second in both. I'm really curious how this is going to affect the Luma rank because these two are obviously incredibly good, but their inactivity could severely hurt their ranking. I wonder if they're going to place a higher value on results and placement, or if they're going to reward people who are more active. I know regardless of what happens, there are going to be people who are heated about the rankings. And that is it for the video. Let me know down in the comments if you think there was something that I should have mentioned. Also a reminder to drop a like for the algorithm, and if you enjoy Smash content, make sure to sub to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.